This is Matt.
And this is Dawn.
And you're listening to
Love is Kind Podcast. Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Love is Kind. I'm your host, Dawn, and this is my husband, Matt. Say hi.
Hey guys. Sorry.
This is season 2 of Love is Kind, and today we wanted to talk about, and I'm sorry, Pastor, if you're watching this or listening to this, but I keep jacking some of your stuff because it's been good.
Repurposing.
Repurposing. There you go. That's the best word for it. Yes. So we're going to be talking about finishing what we started. Mm-hmm. And I thought we'd talk about that simply because it is the fourth quarter. We just entered it, this week?
Yep.
And, I was talking to your dad about it because I work with them on the team. And so
welcome back.
Thank you. And we've been talking about, he wanting to get together with the team and kind of just go over a few things. Mm-hmm. And it kind of made me think about certain things that in my personal life, what things that I want to accomplish, things that I want to finish. And I think sometimes we can lose track of that. Yeah. And I know that we briefly kind of talked about that in season 1. We had an episode like that, like motivation or something like that, something similar. But I think that with the last quarter, I think it's important to just kind of touch base and see what, I don't know, Matt, like, where are you at? Yeah. How do you feel?
I mean, with being a new dad, work, you and I have talked about, seems like life is just being thrown my way, especially this week.
Oh, yeah.
And it's been tough, and a lot of it is just overwhelming. I'm anxious. I'm not sleeping that well, so I'm all over the place. I think that this topic, as far as finishing what we started, is huge, especially when we come into this last kind of quarter of the year. We start to think about the goals that maybe we have set previously in January, and then as we're approaching holidays and stuff like that, we start to reanalyze this year and then set new goals. And I think it's really important to really finish what you start and not really let those things kind of hinder you back. So I think it's a really good topic to kind of bounce off of last one of transitions. Yeah. Right? Everybody's going through transitions. Right. And then going into this topic of, hey, how do I next year, or even start now, right? A lot of times we want to wait for the new year to start our new goals. Right. But how do we start it now? Because a lot of what our business planning does, you'll see that we start a lot of our prep now. That way when January hits, we've already done
You hit the ground running.
Yeah, we hit the ground running. And there's no lag time, because it's really easy during November, December to kind of let the foot off your pedal a little bit and slow down. So how do we finish what we start? So yeah, that's where my head's at. What about you?
Well, I've been nesting a lot, and I know that sounds kind of weird, but it is a term that pregnant women use. I've been nesting, and I started really roughly around 5 months. Mm-hmm. So I know a lot of women start around 7-8 months, but I hear that you want to reserve a lot of your energy. You want to make sure that you're resting, because you're going to be a soon to be mom, parent, whatever. And I started really early, because if you know me, I love to declutter things right away.
Yeah.
And I just can't wait.
Yeah, I can't leave my stuff in visual sight, because it will be gone.
Exactly. So if you leave it, I'll throw it away, or I'll store it somewhere, and you probably won't be able to find it. Yeah. But I've gotten into that. So it's not like going into the new year, I was like, okay, I'm going to be prepping for a new baby. No, it was just something that happened. I don't even think I was preparing to have a baby. We talked about it. And so since getting pregnant, there's goals, there's things that I've set for myself as a soon-to-be mom, things that I want to take care of around the house, things that I want to do, prepping for the baby shower that I just had this past weekend. It was hot, by the way. It was horrible, but overall, it was a blessing. It was so nice to have friends and family there, and so that was really nice, despite it being scorching hot.
It was really hot.
It was really hot. And I'm just prepping and just finishing what I'm starting, simply because you are relying on me, baby's relying on me. And if I don't get it done, who else is going to do it for me? So I have I have to get that type of mentality, because if I don't do it, like I said, like you have other things that you're doing. You're prepping in other ways. And so that's where teamwork kind of comes into play. And I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just so that, like I said, it was not something that I planned for the year. It's not like a goal that I had of like, oh, I'm going to be doing this. It happened, and it's such a blessing.
Yeah.
But with those things come, how to prepare. God gave me that word I shared with you guys last time. God gave me a word of prepared. I really didn't know what that meant, but now I know. And prepare in so many aspects of my life. And so that, yeah, I really think that finishing what we started is important, no matter whether you started in the beginning of the new year or whether you started mid-year or the last quarter of the year. I think it's simply just following through with what you want to do.
Yeah. I love, so I see that, Levi is, he's relying on us.
Yeah.
You've taken like, hey, look, I need to start doing this because Matt's doing X, Y, Z. I need to prepare. And, you're getting the stroller stuff ready. You've already figured out where he's going to go. You figured out, hey, Matt, we're going to do this. We're going to put this wall up. We're going to have this and that. And it's great that you've taken that role and, like you said, nesting. But there's another aspect to that in that your why, right?
Yeah.
We talk about big whys, and the reason why a lot of times we don't hit our goals is because our why in that moment was enough, but after 30 days, after 60 days, after 90 days, like if I don't hit it, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Until you have, like something like this person, this baby, us as parents, this baby's relying on us.
Right.
Or I can't fail. I can't not do this. So I think being able to translate that to whatever your goal is, if your goal is to lose weight, to be fitter, to make better food choices, whatever your goal is, maybe you want to read more books, your why has to be tied something to that level, to where either you're sick and tired of, being sick and tired, like you've said, like, you're like, I'm just tired of being tired, or you have a why that's that great, that's like, I cannot fail at this. Then you'll see a lot of tremendous, strides in the things that you're looking for.
Yeah. And not to like call you out, because I know,
All right.
because I've been better with coaching. I've done this every year, like beginning of the new year, and I always touch base with my goals quarterly. Always. Matt's just like, I don't have goals. I really don't. Like, I know you have certain goals, like for business and stuff, but when it comes to personal goals, you kind of lack in that department. Yeah.
I shy away from it because at the end of the day, like a lot of times, I guess I'm too scared to say them out loud, and I'm more, and I'm also like too afraid to say I'm going to do something and not do it, because me, like my word is like, I like to hold it a lot stronger as far as like, hey, when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. So when I say that I'm going to back it by my name and my word, it means a lot to me. So I'd rather just not say it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But I also think that you had to have some type of accountability.
That's a huge part too. Yeah.
Right.
I lack accountability in that aspect.
Like, I always tell people that I'm going to do this, and there's certain projects that I haven't really talked about. There's some things that God has placed in my heart that I'm still praying about. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do this, as a new mom, just going into a new season and all that. But better believe that once I figure it out, I'll probably start announcing it, just because I've learned that, hey, if you put it out there, if you let people know, that's the only way people are going to keep you accountable for the things that you do. And that's why I always tell you, like, what are your goals? Like, tell me. I want to know. You're like, I don't want to tell you.
I always shy away from it.
Always shy away. But I think that will keep you, accountable for the things that you want to accomplish, and also just helps you kind of strive for more, and just, hey, like, I said I was going to do this. People are watching me. People said, people are counting on me to do this. And so I think it's.
Yeah. I mean, I'm honestly, if I'm going to be honest and be vulnerable, I'm just too scared to vocalize those goals. Whether people judge me for wanting to reach that goal of maybe I want to make a X amount of figure dollars, or I want to get the, like, six pack or whatever it is. Like, I'm afraid to say it out loud, and I'm also afraid for people to know what I want.
Right.
And then also what the fear is, well, what happens if I don't hit it?
Yeah.
You know, and people are like, oh yeah, here's Matt, another year of trying to get fit or get in shape, or
Right.
and it's like, doesn't hit it.
Yeah. But I think if you said it like quarterly, I think it's best, because if you just said, I want to lose weight, like, well, when are you going to, is it measurable? Is it, timely? Do you have like a time frame of when you want to accomplish it? Like if you just say, I want to lose weight, then that can be
Anything.
anything. Exactly. It can be anything, or it can be like in 6 months. It can be,
I mean, I know that's something that you've really implemented really well.
Yeah.
Is you're always in your daily planner and your Michael Hyatt focus planner. So if you guys haven't got it, check it out.
Absolutely.
They're a little expensive, but they're well worth it. But you're always in there. You're updating your goals. You're writing your goals, and that's something I admire about you. I think maybe you have some execution.
Yeah.
There's some execution things, but like your goals are there. And that's something,
visually seeing it, like it's
Yeah.
important. Yeah.
your goals are there. So I know that that's something that you've implemented,
Yeah.
as far as being, hey, look, your goals are out in front of you. You write in your journal. You have, your daily planner tracking and hitting this. And I think that's a good tidbit for people as far
Yeah.
as, hey, whatever your goals are, you need to have your long-term goal, your short-term goal, and then you have your monthly check-in of where you're at, where your progress
Right.
is. And I think just a lot of times, at least maybe for me, I just don't like to look under the hood.
I don't
think-
like looking under the hood all the
I
time.
think that's me. I just don't
Yeah.
like looking under the hood. I don't want to see whether I'm ahead of schedule. I don't want to see whether I'm behind schedule. Sometimes I'm just like, man, like maybe I just don't want to look at all. And I think that's one of my biggest fears, and the things that I need to learn to get over myself, as far as what are people going to say. And
Yeah.
I know I have it in a lot of other areas in my life,
Yeah,
where I've
for
mentioned to
sure.
you, like, I don't care if people like me or not, or don't like me, but
I think we all kind of secretly care a little bit. No, but I totally get what you're saying.
But for that, in that regard, I totally am like super shy. Don't want to share it. Like,
Right.
don't even look at my binder, or whatever I'm writing down. Like,
Don't look at my notes.
I'll
You're like,
scribble over it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Now that's me too.
Yeah.
Like, just because I like sharing things doesn't mean I want people to see what I'm writing in my notes. But I actually wrote down, we always want to tie things to the biblical sense, because, we're always striving to tie everything that we talk about with God and Jesus and what we learn in the Bible. And so I came across this one here in Luke chapter 14, verse 28 through 30. For if you lay the foundation and are not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule you, saying, this person began to build and wasn't able to finish.
Yeah, that's me. That's me. That's me. It's the ridicule.
And so I wrote like my notes here. I just said, makes me think about keeping my word is so important, and simply doing what you said you're going to do. I have this conversation with so many people. I have this conversation with my own brother. When you say something, commit to it. I know it's hard, but something that, the series that we did with Pastor of finishing what we started, I think it was like a month and a half or 2 months. We were on it for quite some time.
Yeah,
and
that was a long one.
But it honestly helped me a lot, because it made me realize that there's some things that I just lost sight of. There were some things that I just wasn't focused on. And I'm like, man, like there's some things that I really want to implement, and I haven't done it because I just been lacking. I just been farting around doing I don't know what, and I'm just like, I got to get back into it. But I think that, yeah, I just love that verse in Luke, and just kind of like being a person that keeps their word.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important for you and I.
Yeah.
It's something that you and I both talk about, we share with our friends and our family. And I know that's something that you and I hold really high.
Yeah, I've always told you.
Yeah.
Since the beginning of our relationship, it's like, hey, don't say things and not be able to follow through, because people will start to put those patterns together, as far as like, yeah, Dawn just says that she does things but never follows through with it.
Yeah.
And I never want people to say that about you, say that about me, say that about our family, like that. I don't want that stigma over our family, over our life.
Right.
Because if it starts with us, then what happens? Like the children
it
children
trickles
pick
down
it.
to other things, to other people. Like people might look up to you. There's some people that maybe you're mentoring, and they look up to you, and if they see that you do those things, like, oh well, Matt does it, and they'll think that it's okay, and when it's really not, you know. And I always we were talking earlier about how, and it's funny that Pastor kind of touched on it today, about Jesus, you know, when the time came that he was going to get prosecuted, when it was his time, you know, Jesus, there's a verse in Mark where it's like, you know, God, like, can you, if you're all powerful, you know, you can take this away from me.
Right. He's asking him to take his cup, right? Like, take
this cup from me. Like, I mean, to know what you're about to do and endure, and the pain, just the pain that you're going to go through. And he's like, for a moment, you know, he's human. For a moment, he has this thought of just take this from me.
Yeah.
But then he snaps out of it and said, but no, let your will be done.
Yeah.
And it makes me think of like, man, like that is such a great example to live by. And I know that none of us will ever come close, will never measure up to Jesus. We'll never come close to that. But I think if we set our goals and we finish what we started, because basically his mission was to come and die for the sins of the world so that we can be forgiven, right. So that we can find forgiveness and have eternity with our Lord and Savior. Yeah. And if it wasn't for Jesus finishing what he was called to do, like you and I don't know what would be of us.
Yeah, keep cooking. I love it. Keep going.
Right? Like that's the truth. Like if Jesus didn't complete his mission on this earth, when we fall short, when we kind of like take steps back, and who's being affected by those things?
Yeah, the whole world. I mean, for Jesus.
Well, for Jesus, it was the whole world was in his hands. But like for us, like just our regular folk, like you and I, how does that affect our family? How does that affect our children, our friends, like people that we care about? Can you imagine if Jesus wouldn't have done that for us? How the effects that would have taken on the human race, and just where we would be.
Yeah, I mean the butterfly effect on it kind of is what you're saying. I mean, for us, friends, family, husbands, children, everybody's going to be affected by our decisions.
Right.
And that's something as simple as just not following through with what you say you're going to do. Mm-hmm. You know, I can remember when you're a kid and it's like, oh, I want to go here. And your dad or your mom's like, I'm going to take you next week. Next week rolls around and they said that to get you to stop, you know, asking for that one thing.
I remember those days.
And you come next week, you're like, hey, what about this? What about ice cream? And they're like, oh, next week. And then you slowly catch on, like, oh, this person just says next week. And as you start to get older, you start to, you know, have that pattern happen in your life. But, you know, a lot to piggyback off what you're saying as far as Jesus, throughout the Gospels, different accounts, right? Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, in different parts of their books, they mention Jesus at some point during their time. He's always, you know, he speaks in parables. Mm-hmm. He never directly says, but he's always says the Son of Man will be delivered onto and crucified and died. You know, and he's always pointing to what his outcome is. So he's always known, this is where I'm going, guys. He never directly says it, and everybody's always confused when they hear it. Yeah. But for him to know that this is where I'm going, but yet I need these guys. I need these apostles. I need them because they're going to go preach to the nations. If I don't fulfill this, right, when we talk about butterfly effect, he needed to finish what he started, even though he knew he was going to be betrayed, even though he knew he was going to be crucified. Yeah. All those things needed to happen in order for him to finish what he started. And it's one of the most important things, you know, and like you said, I could only imagine him in the garden praying, asking God, like, I don't want to do this. Yeah. Like, he's still human. Like, I don't want to do this, but if it's your will, I'm going to do it. And
it's for the greater good for someone or something.
You know, I have a quick verse here in Philippians chapter 1, verse 6. It says, being confident of this, that he who has began a good work in you will carry it on to the completion until the day of Jesus Christ. So it suggests that God is committed to finishing what he starts in his believers, meaning that, hey, if God started something within you, you better believe he's going to keep his promise. He will finish that with you. Yeah. It's up to you to be able to overcome the obstacles. Remember, Jesus was tempted by the devil for 40 days, right? There's a lot of people who called him bad names, said he was blasphemous. all these bad things, ridiculing him, saying that he wasn't who he said he was.
Yeah.
And it's still in the face of it, he still persevered. So that's a big word. I think that if there's anything that I want to be able to say, it's perseverance, right? Perseverance, because the things that you want to accomplish, it's all perseverance. It's all, there's going to be things that are going to be thrown at you. And how many times can you fall and then get back up?
Yeah, I think that even in that time when people are doing those things to you, or feeling like you're not good enough, you're feeling like, man, like I can't do this. Don't even believe in me. Like, there is a God there, like you said in this verse here, there is a God that if he started something good in you, you better believe that he will complete it. He will allow you to finish that good work. And today at church, like, I pray that over someone, you know, and the word was so powerful, and it's just really aligned with what we're going through, Matt. Like, God really spoke to me today in that, and I was crying in the back. Matt was supposed to be serving today, and I'm like, you know what, honey, just go sit down, because Matt's honestly been serving like for a whole year, really, without maybe like 5 times receiving this whole year. And I really, in my heart, wanted Matt to receive, because even though I also want to receive, I feel like being up there worshiping every Sunday, every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sundays, like, I'm receiving a portion. Whereas Matt's like, he's receiving in some way. Yes, you're greeting people, and that's also doing God's work, but you're also not receiving the word because you're focused with the door being opened every minute.
Yeah.
You're not receiving worship because you have to be attentive to every person that walks in. And so in my heart, I really wanted to bless you and just have you sit in, and it felt good, like, to be able to, like, okay, I'm not on the altar today, but I'm gonna be in the front greeting people, and people are probably like, what is she doing here? Like, why isn't she up there?
Yeah.
But it was so nice to see you in the front, just receiving and worshiping God. And I think that comes with it, you know, with all of this, being able to complete the good work and what God is calling us, because we have to know what he wants for our lives. We have to listen. We have to be attentive to his, and incline our ears to what his word is and what he wants for our lives. And how could you do that? How could you receive and complete those things if you're not receiving, you know, if you're not diving into the word every single day? And so for me, it was such a pleasure to be able to do that for you today, and I really enjoyed it. So I don't know, I might just join the ushers.
There you go, a little hybrid.
Yeah, like worship, and I was singing regardless. I don't know if you heard me. I wanted
to talk to you about that, but we'll talk about it later. But
yeah, I'm not allowed to do that. I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
Really?
Well, I mean, think about it. Your intention is supposed to be on the people coming. If the first thing people see is your back worshiping, I mean, it's okay, but your job is to greet, say hello.
Well, I would sing, and then I'd be like, oh, hey, how's it going, you know?
Well,
I know. I'm sorry, guys. That's not my department, but it's just,
it's all good.
Again, just today being able to pray not only for you, but for my father and 2 other gentlemen, and being able to speak that into their lives, that God has started a good work in them. And they might not see it, or you might not see it yet, but know that God is working in you regardless of whatever situation you are facing.
Yeah. I love that. That's good. Thank you. I didn't know that's why you did it.
Yeah. I wanted you to receive. I'm like, today I'm going to surprise my husband. I did a little vlog, which, by the way, was probably in slow motion, which was not recorded. I don't know what it is with my Sony camera. Like, the buttons are not where they should be. Like, it's the whole functionality of it is not, for me.
Yeah.
It's not good.
You know, I wrote down a couple other things, you know, as far as just some other notes that I wrote down. If you're anyone like me, like Don, that does have, you know, because we're not perfect. We set goals and we don't hit them.
Yeah.
And I'm not ashamed. I'm not like ashamed to admit that. I'm human.
Yeah, same.
You know, and I would even go as far as that I might be even worse because I don't even share some of my goals with anybody. I write it down.
You're getting better, though.
And
You're getting better.
I put it in the her.
I share too much. You share very little, if at all.
I put that in the locker and put it away, throw away the key.
Yeah.
But, you know, some of the notes here I have here is, you know, write down clear and purposeful goals, breaking goals into manageable steps. That's something that you do. Accountability, that's something we touched on as well,
Yeah.
right? You got to stay accountable, and that comes with, writing them down, making sure you have somebody that's going to hold you accountable to hitting those goals. I know for me in my business, I meet with one-on-one with a coach. We also meet our team. We meet every week as well. So I have different avenues of accountability to say, hey, what are you doing? What's going on? Where you're at? How can we push you forward? What were your challenges from last week? And it's something that I shied away from because, like I said, I don't want to look under the hood.
Right.
And this really puts you out in a vulnerable spot and gets you out on that skinny branch. And hey, look, last week I failed, but you know what? This week I'm going to come back stronger because I learned from it. And it's all about mindset, tracking progress. I write down everything that I do, at least for business. I write it down.
Yeah.
Whether I talk to somebody, how many hours I work, if I set an appointment, all of it. If I did a showing, how many leads I got, how many people I talked to, all that stuff. Overcoming obstacles and adjusting, right? That's kind of like what we said. What went good? What can you adjust? What can you do better?
Right.
Always stay with that. Consistency and discipline. This is probably where everybody is going to struggle with. If you can stay consistent, you teach yourself discipline to do that act of whatever it is that you want to do. Maybe you want to read the Bible every morning.
Yeah.
You want to read a book. This is going to outpace you with everybody. It's
Right.
going to be the amount of time that you can consistently do that thing that you're asking. Intrinsic motivation, that's what we talked about a little bit earlier, right? With
Right.
Levi and the baby and Don's nesting, right? I need to do this because,
Someone's
you
counting.
could wait for me to do it, but you're like, hey, I'm going to do this on my own.
Yeah. And we have different roles,
Yeah.
and we respect that. And there's just some things that I feel like I would do a little better. And
Yeah.
I know there's some things like building things. There are women out there that I give them so much props. They build and I'm like, wow, I don't know how they do it, but I'm a little lazy when it comes to that. So I give that to you. But there's, we have different goals of what we want to accomplish. And I know you're busy doing other things. And I'm home. I work from home. I'm here with Archie, and I'm able to do those things that require things to be done here.
Yeah.
And so, like it's just putting that value, that motivation, what's motivating you. If it's someone that obviously is relying on you, like you're going to do it. You're going to do it. Just
Whatever, you call it your big why, intrinsic value, whatever name you want to call it.
Yeah.
That thing's got to be powerful. It's got to be strong. It's got to get you up in the morning.
Yeah.
As soon as I found out that we were having a kid, bink, I'm activated. Like I'm up at 6. I'm doing a whole bunch of things that I was never doing before. My intrinsic value just doubled, tripled, quadrupled, so to speak, as far as where I was comfortable and where I need to be.
And not to throw shade at the company that you were at before, because they were great. This is just more of something that I learned today at church, is people that are negative and people that are going to be challengers in your life. And I think you found someone in your life that challenges you, that's someone that you look up to, and he's the owner of the business that you guys are, the company that you're at now.
Yeah.
And that was you taking accountability and saying, hey, like, I want to reach these goals. I need to sit with you every week and go over those goals with you. So you maybe didn't declare it to the whole world on social media like maybe I do, but you did rely on someone that is very successful and someone that is extremely motivated, that's going to hold you accountable for what you're doing. And honestly, I've seen such a big improvement in your day-to-day activity, Matt, because when you were at the other office, you didn't have any of that. And so it's categories. Like I wouldn't say they were negative, but they also weren't bringing you the knowledge and the skills that you needed in order to succeed. And now, yes, it's taking time, but you're doing things that you should have been doing 5 years ago. And like we said last time, God is a redeemer of time. And we think that sometimes we are so far behind, but believe that God is going to take you where you need to be a lot quicker than you can ever imagine.
Yeah, well said. Let me just finish off the rest of these. Just time management. That's always.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
it's
cut you
okay.
off.
No, that was great. No, it's just getting back to just time management, visualization. That's something you do.
I love it.
With
Yeah.
Your, visual boards.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I have it on my phone. I'm just boards.
Avoiding perfection. And I think that that's something that in this transition that you're talking about with me, I want everything to be perfect, and I want everything to be look good. And it's like, man, like you just got to roll your sleeves up and just get it done. And if it doesn't come out perfect, that's okay. So the next time you do it, you just get a little bit better. And when we were coaching in real estate, our old coach Patrick would just say, look, you need Olympic increments. And that meant that you just need to get 1% better every day. 1% better every day is not that hard. But like I said, when you're consistent at it, that 1% turns to 2, 3, 4, and eventually you're so far ahead of everybody else, there's no way they can catch you.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, so we just kind of wanted to not only motivate ourselves, but to kind of just connect with our audience and just see where you guys are at and see how we can pray for you guys in any way, shape, or form. We're always here and available for you guys we have our email, loveIsKindPodcast@gmail.com. If you guys want to reach out, like I said, Matt said last time, I'm always praying and asking for prayer requests if you guys need it. And let's just finish this year strong. We always, like I said earlier, we always want to align it with the biblical truth. What does the Bible say about how we should do things in any aspect of our life, whether that be finances, whether that be marriage, love, just battling anxiety or depression. Like we always turn to the Word, and the Word never fails us. And so I love that we can, even with stuff like topics like this about finishing what we started, time management, all those things are in the Bible. And I love that we can refer to the book of life and just apply everything that is on there. I don't know if you want to add anything else to that.
No, well said. I think everything you said is great. And like she said, guys, we are taking prayer requests. I think maybe we should start taking some prayer requests and maybe getting it more on social. That way people can see that we actually pray for people.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I think that'd be good. So definitely, guys, wherever you're following us, thank you guys so much for your support. Leave us a comment. Share with a friend if you think there was anything useful in here, guys. And I'm Matt. This is my co-host and wonderful wife, Dawn. Thank you guys so much for listening to Love is Kind podcast. And we'll see you on the next one.
Bye, guys.